You're too funny, man. You're just...
Okay, here we go. Yeah, well, I'm coming up all worked up. I was just showing people that video, if you didn't catch that Max put out this morning in the beginning of the new standards in school up in Quebec or Canada. Did you guys catch that by any chance?
I think I shared it, but I haven't.
Yeah.
I've been binge watching Outlander all day, so.
Well, I mean, it's like 45 minutes long, but the first, 5 minutes is a video of this romper room. Okay, everybody, we're going to go back to school, stupid talking to you like you're an idiot.
I think I saw that video, yeah.
Oh, in the end, it literally almost teared me up. They got these kids sitting in this spray painted boxes outside, these little 4-year-olds. Like, I sent it to my wife and she sends me back, no fucking way. You know what I mean? I said, you're damn right. Ain't happening, but it's just, there's that, there's the issues of the stuff they're putting in these schools electronically right now. There's so much about going back to school that is pertinent to this thing, But anyway, so sorry I was a couple minutes late. That's what I was doing. I was showing people. And so, how is everyone?
Kind of riled up, to be honest. Just.
You are?
Yeah, just
good.
In general.
Good. I'm not alone. Good.
Just dealing with people and with woman in particular who doesn't know the first thing about natural law, and everyone thinks she's the best woman mother ever, and she has everyone brainwashed. But whereas she's using her husband and her kids since day one, but I'm the only person who can see it as of right now, so it's kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But besides that, I'm good.
Well. People suck. People totally suck. So I get it, That's why we're in this mess. People just don't. They suck, a lot of them, Oh, I thought I lost you. I thought you cut off. So I hear you. It's frustrating because you can only do what you can do, and you know what I mean? It's the whole. So is Jackie there? Too? Is Jackie here too?
You know what? Somehow my mic was muted. It disconnected me.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm sitting here talking, and I'm like, but they don't want to listen to me.
Thanks, Jackie. Come on, we love you.
Absolutely. How are you?
Just peachy.
Yeah.
It's been a week.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It seems to get more stupid by the day, and
it does.
It does.
I heard you talking about the kids in school, and I thought I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I myself found it quite humorous that when they ended the school year, so abruptly here, which I think was March 17th. I think it was last week. I saw on one of the mainstream tweet things that 100,000 of our school kids are unaccounted for.
Jesus.
They never showed up to virtual school or, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I mean,
gotcha. Well, one of them's here, my daughter's boyfriend, probably, because he fucking hates it. He doesn't do his work. In fact, he's got all of his work due in 2 weeks, and he's working on it over the past day or two. And look, my kids are doing it, and they have my full support that this is the dumbest. They're not learning anything. It's just busy work. The work has gotten more from the beginning, where it was a little bit a day. Now, my son's in there for hours and, doing stupid shit, and the one thing I'll even, I'm sure he wouldn't mind me talking about it. They were going to do the play, 12 Angry Men. They were going to read through it. They were going to watch the movie. They were going to do the parts. And that's a big part. It is. And I remember that. That's something that stuck with me as a kid, So now he's doing it and he's reading it. At first he just was like this. He was all not even into it because, that's a group thing. Everybody gets a part, and even if you read in a classroom, I think that's how we did.
Right.
So I kind of started doing it with him, and of course, he couldn't put it down after that, and because it really is. He was writing. He had to answer all these questions, and he's writing all this stuff, and so it was. My point is, people especially kids, they need a teacher. And I know they're being indoctrinated by a lot of the information, but there are still, and we all had them too, and I have kids in the school system. They're still out there. There are teachers that will break away and help the kids critically think and let them express themselves, even at the high school level, at least around here, you know. So this whole virtual school is just a bunch of nonsense, and I'm not some parent going, you need to do your work. I think it's a bunch of fucking horseshit. That, you know, this is bullshit high school mentality never left me, even as an adult. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
My kids do well in school because they, you know, they of course, it's not really hard anymore. They dumb everything down, but if they're interested in something, they excel at it, and then when they learn something, I expand on it and then teach them, you know, how to learn different things about it. And, you know, so you have to be a participant if you're going to have your kids in school. Otherwise, they're just going to be indoctrinated, you know?
Hello?
So apparently the state doesn't like Tom.
No, they cut me
doesn't
off.
like Tom talking about. Yeah, they tell you off, man. They don't like you talking about how fucking stupid we're like
No.
tell us studying for big daddy and big mommy government is.
And you know how important it is to when I don't know where it cut me off, but one of the main points when you're having your kids in school, like I know everybody wants to pull their kids out of school and homeschool. I get it, you know, but that's not feasible a lot in the world. But you have to right now. It should be, but it's not. You have to be a teacher then. If you turn your kids over to these schools and they come home, what'd you learn about? You know, oh, the Revolutionary War. I got an A on my test. And you're not sitting down and engaging with them and showing them other things and other aspects and opinions and engaging their mind, you know, then they don't do well. See, I mean, I always knew how much school sucked, so I didn't, you know, I always took that initiative as a parent, even when they were little, before I knew we were going to be in the Twilight Zone lockdown, you know, to do that. And my wife does too, you know, and a lot of people don't. And my fear is people are just going to throw these kids back into school, whatever the rules are. I got to get back to work, you know how people can be, you know.
But you know what's odd, because if you think about it, if they're going about following all their guidelines for this, I don't know about your school district, but our school district is overpopulated as it is.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
They're already in portables. We don't have enough schools. And even if we had enough schools, we don't have enough teachers.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're going to go by these guidelines, how are they going to even have enough to get them back to school?
Right.
I mean, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, even when I was showing it to my daughter, because, you know, my son's still in 7th grade, so he's got K through, you know, 8 in that school that he's in. So there are little kids, you know, and of course, that video that Max put out, that's who this teacher is talking to. She's talking to everyone.
Oh, yeah, the kindergartners, first graders.
Yeah, that was...
most impressionable.
Like my daughter says, what happens when it fucking rains and pours and snows and, you know what I mean, while they're all outside waiting on their dots to come in? Like the whole thing is so stupid and ridiculous that if that's tolerated, I'm just... Again, my disappointment is a lot of times with people. I'm trying to have faith in them, but, you know, I just hope that people go, what? You know, if that shit makes... And not even just if that shit makes its way here. I hope Canada goes fucking berserk, because that's where this video is supposedly from, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's all we can do is hope.
Yeah, you know, do what we can do in our area and encourage others to do it in theirs. That's really it. And, you know, it's so powerful, though, because we hold all the cards, yet it just at times can feel so hopeless because people are so fucking stupid, you know.
And it's so hard to get these people to realize. I mean, it's just like the meme everybody passes around about. All it takes is for us all to stand up and their game is over, because their game rests on our backs.
It does. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's oh no, my dog. Sorry, my dog just ran across my laptop. He jumped up. I'm sitting on the bed. He jumped random. Up and he just ran right. He's a little mite, and I have 2 of them. And I'm sitting on the bed. I thought the door was closed. Thank you, my daughter.
He's like, oh, Daddy.
Yeah, and he likes to get into. He for some reason likes to run. He does it when I'm sitting on the chair, and he just jumped up and pushed 10 million buttons on my laptop.
Aww,
that's so adorable. Though.
He
does.
Can't
use the computer or anything around my cats. I'm actually surprised they're not messing with me right now.
Yeah, what is it with?
As soon as I don't know. As soon as I lay out a phone or a laptop, they're laying on it.
Yeah.
No.
He does that. He wants to lay on it. Like, what are they attracted to?
Is it the heat of it, maybe, or like what would it be?
I don't know.
Well, and what's funny is actually, and I don't even know why I started it. I thought it was cute, I guess, but they have on YouTube like these cat videos to where it just runs like a mouse across the screen, or it has a pool of fish or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I turn junkies, my cats, into monitor junkies. I think that's what it is.
It proves this shit works, and it's got everybody.
Does.
You know what I mean? It really does, because it's not a coincidence that we're all having these conversations. Like, I just thought he was a whack job because my other dog doesn't do it, but she's a big pit bull. Like, she'd crush it, So, but, these little like you said, cats, lap dogs, I thought, but that makes sense,
I felt bad for starting it. I'm like, I cannot believe it. I said, I'm just as bad as these moms that I see sit there and take their phone and put it in the cradle with the baby.
Right, I know.
Jackie's getting her fur family hooked on 5G.
Yeah.
I hope not.
Well, I mean, it's everywhere to begin with. It's the only way is to do what we do. I think just to continue to get people, hopefully, to talk and to get people planting seeds. I was talking to a buddy last night on the phone, and we're screaming for 2 hours, again about how stupid people are, but like he started to say, what he's just been doing is because he's working. A lot of my friends are in construction, and so he's on the job site, and everybody's got to wear masks. Well, his crew, he's like, wait, we ain't fucking wearing masks, There's all these rules, like, normal rules, like you can't be smoking in the bucket and, stuff like this. So he's telling me that, I don't know, the foreman walks in, he's a shop steward. The foreman walks in and he says, here we are. We're not 6 feet apart. No one wearing masks. We're in the bucket. All smoking cigarettes. You know what I mean? And he started yelling at us. We all looked at him. He went away, and we just went back to what we were doing. He's like, this is the way we've always worked. Because in the thing about being there is you're supposed to be 6 feet apart. Like, you can't even be that.
And here, I'm in construction also, and here they have brought in extra OSHA. And the same thing here, everybody has to wear a mask, a face covering. There's no more than one trade allowed in a house at a time. And they're hitting everybody with fines. And it just doesn't make any sense to me, because even when it comes to a model home, they reopened, for real estate, they don't have to do virtual, they can do by appointment. Mm-hmm. So what are they doing? Letting somebody go through the model home and then completely disinfecting it and spraying it down before the next person comes in?
Right. None of it makes sense, well, that's what he was saying. Like, if these things, we're all over everything. We're working. He goes, even when you go to the stores, you hold the handle. Nobody's wiping the handle every 2 minutes. I always bring up the damn, computer to order the sandwich. And he was saying, what makes him crazy is this dumb plexiglass, who the hell, who would think, if this is real, that you're safe from this thing that's open on all ends, you know what I mean? At the top and the sides.
Exactly.
And it's like people have just lost all common sense, you know what I mean? And can't. So he says, and he's right, I do it too. He goes, I just start throwing some common sense, like, hey, listen, just some food for thought. He goes, and he'll throw something out at people, like a statement like that, or a killer virus that comes out at nighttime, so that's why we got to be home. Like, you know what I mean? Like the dumbness of it all, and really that's all we can do, because keep doing it and keep doing it, because if enough people don't realize it, then it's going to be ugly, And
my thing this week has been masks. Everybody that I see, because I go to my first job, I don't have to worry about it. I go to my second job, we have to walk through security. There are these, little wannabe cop people are.
Mm-hmm.
And they're wearing their mask. And I ask them, I'm like, do you wear that all day? All the time? Yeah, it's mandatory. They told us we had to do it. I said, do you know that you're slowly making yourself sick?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, get that thing off your face as much as you can.
Yeah.
Don't listen to these people. And some of them are actually like, as soon as nobody's here, I take it off. And that's all you can do is let people know, listen, you've got more of a chance of getting sick by breathing your own bacteria.
Absolutely.
And everybody touches the cloth mask. That's what killed me, because it's all about the homemade cloth mask.
Mm-hmm.
And you see people adjusting them and moving them, and they don't have gloves on.
Right.
So whatever germs are on their hands, they're putting on the cotton that they can breathe through, and it's just going to stick to the cotton. So they're breathing germs the whole time.
Yeah. It's the complete antithesis of what we're supposed to be doing. It's so just,
Ridiculous.
It is. People are breaking out from the masks, and of course my wife works in the hospital, so she's got to wear them now in there. And, it's terrible. She hates it, and thank goodness that she understands what's going on here, because
it's awesome that she works in a hospital and is able to recognize it.
Yeah. Otherwise, she'd be coming home a raving lunatic, all worried about germs, and you know what I mean. And she can see things that for what they are, instead of going, why are they doing this? Why are they doing it? She questions things, and kind of was like, wait a minute, like in her own head. I mean, why are they doing this? She'll be like, wait a minute, and speak it, because it's just, none of it makes any sense. And I've even mentioned on some of my videos that we have a personal experience with someone that went through this, that went in and was treated like a COVID and is no longer with us. And, I try not to get into too detail because I know they're still working on trying to get answers. So I don't want to, but, and in fact, my buddy last night told me that, they know someone the same shit happened to. So, like, this isn't internet fucking people just making shit up, I mean,
and the saddest part about it is the fact that now, if a loved one does go to the hospital, you don't even know what's going to happen to them because nobody else can be present.
No.
Why is that?
No. Yeah. You're not getting in. You're not seeing them. And when you find out, too. Like in the beginning, it was this wonderful doctor and all, but then all of a sudden they're not with those doctors anymore, and there's no answers, and like now you can't even go in, and like it's psychologically maddening on the family at home,
Yes.
It's just so wrong on so many levels. Let
alone the patient.
Yeah, right.
A lot of people don't have a lot of medical knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
I have a good background to it because I went through a lot, with my kids and my parents. So I'm pretty base knowledgeable.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gotten to see other people go in and they have no idea the questions to ask. They have no clue on whether the treatment that they say that they're getting is correct or not.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Even for the basics.
Yeah. And just completely trusting of everything, and just okay.
All the doctors, they're here to help.
Yeah. From what I understand, a lot of them are residents actually doing some of these things in places like so. Once you really start to see that, these are it's being handled by the worst possible people in some of these cases where, and this is more, my wife's down here. This is more in North Jersey, because that's where this took place. And that's what I'm referring to, so some of the things I spit out, you know what I mean, they're because people need to really know that this is kind of stuff. And when I can fully tell the story, I will. But this isn't bullshit, I mean,
no.
these numbers and all the other shit's just gone down exactly with the curve of the up slant on the COVID chart. Like, give me a break, locking down places for less than 1% mortality rates in like people don't go what it's
what's going on. They don't have no question to it at all. It's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
How could you just, I guess, and it goes to a lot that if people don't know somebody personally that has gone through something like that, or them themselves have not, then it just doesn't happen.
Yeah. You know?
And that's part of the problem, because like these people, they don't see that what affects other people affects them. Okay.
Yes.
Like, for example, I don't have any kids whatsoever, but at the same time, I don't want anyone's kids to be injected with vaccines or whatever.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And I haven't done like tons and tons and tons of research on it, I'll be honest, but Jesus, just from what I've seen, it's like, okay.
Yeah. It doesn't take tons and tons. It's pretty clear early on.
You know what I mean?
Evidence.
Yes.
I know, but it's just, I think, disclaimer, I haven't done like, a doctorate on it or whatever, but you know what I mean.
I do. Yeah, no, I do.
So
yeah.
it's like, I'm sorry, like, because these people talk, because, okay, it's okay, it's so basic to me and to you guys, like, okay, we're all connected because we are, okay? It's like,
we are because we are, and we just can't tell you why we are.
Because we've seen past, because we've broken past Phantom Self in a way, okay?
Yes.
To use David, because I've been reading the book.
Yeah.
And
it's a good one.
It is. I know I need to go into the perception deception. That thing's like 7,000 pages long.
Yeah.
I have that. I have that one.
It's a thick tome. But anyways, but just it's, I don't know. It just seems so basic to me because like I don't know. It just is. I was like, do you guys understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
I do, absolutely.
Well,
and try to explain this one to people. I have a certain person in my life that understands the concept of natural law, completely understands it, but hasn't really taken in all the information because they can't, because they get so mad and stuck on the fact that we got screwed as the middleman. This is so, no, that's that's screwed up. Excuse me, I was going to use the F word, but
you can say it. Come on, you can. The fucking timer.
Am I supposed to not try to use it? Am I supposed to try not to use it?
Okay, I tried.
This is not a swear-free zone. Okay,
right.
You can swear.
I will do my best, but it's just happens sometimes.
Dude, just swear. I don't care.
Okay, so as you're trying to get this through to somebody, and they're stuck, like right there. And then they ask you, well, what's the purpose of it all then? Because that sounds really stupid, that the universe doesn't really care about you or your feelings, but yet there is a creator, but yet he's not involved, but yet he made these rules. So it's like just being stuck on being angry, and this is stupid.
Well, there's a progression that actually kind of goes with waking up and understanding maybe that knowledge first prior to maybe understanding the full true self, and the connection to that creator can lead to anger because you kind of feel like it's almost like that's how sometimes the evil mind manifests out of getting angry. Yes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, well, they don't care. And because it's, I don't want to say thinking like a dark occultist. I'm just saying, but
that's what it comes down to. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It can progress
when it comes down to truth, you're either contributing the way I see it. And this is, my perception, which everything isn't perception because the truth is truth. It doesn't matter what the perception is.
Yeah.
But the way I see it is that if you're not with, you're against.
Yeah.
If you're not in truth, then you're not on board.
Yeah. And I've gotten that way too, Jackie, to be honest. It's like, okay, like there's like if say like you have like a lot of resources to do with what as you will, but like, what are you doing with it? Are you doing fuck all with it? Then, like, how are you helping, like, unenslave humanity? And then yet people like say like, oh, you're the best person ever. It's like, like, no, she's not.
not so much.
Yeah,
I'm having the hardest time getting somebody past that point.
Yeah,
that's all. This is stupid. Then I don't want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
I hope. it just destroys my energy when I'm done. Just be done with it. I didn't ask to be here. I don't care who said it, but if I chose to be here, then I'm the stupidest motherfucker around.
Oh, I've said that. I've definitely said
I've
that.
been there too. I was like, what was I on that I agreed to be here?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, either wherever we came from was way more fucked up, or somebody tricked us into something. I've definitely thought those things, but that progression comes with, like, these are all stages I think we all go through. Like you said, some people dwell on them more than others, but for me, like, I've always realized a connection, and it was masked by religion when I was younger, and came out of my rebellious age where I neglected the church, but I still kept a connection. But it wasn't a part of my everyday. Like, I wasn't coming home and being like, oh God, thanks for this. But like, it was just,
no, you had your faith,
right? And I went along with my life. I did the right thing. I did, but once all of this evil kind of came into my, like you said, understanding, and I went through my anger phases, definitely what pulled me out was reconnecting to the true understanding, like, not just some, blase, oh yeah, it's to do the right thing, God's up there. But I wanted to understand, more.
Mhm.
And by taking in things like, and it was really David that started me down those routes to really kind of go in and care more about history. I mean, younger years, there was stuff with, the Bill Coopers and, the UFO connections and the ancient aliens, all that kind of stuff.
But we were made to think that they were just Looney Tunes.
Well, right. There was no substance really to it, but when again, my turning point was Mark, when I really took in the information that he was, explaining. Like, some people just kind of listen, they'll catch a half hour, and I think they know what he's talking about. If you really listen to the podcast from the beginning and you go through these traditions and you see how they all interconnect, and then you can take it to the levels, because he talks about all the people, like, that he references. And for me, the Bruce Liptons and Joe Dispenzas, from a scientific aspect, really started to show, okay, well, this new age nonsense here of inaction is nonsense, but there are certainly things here that, we control. That we control within the body and our thoughts and all of our intentions that then make up that behavior and our health and how we act. So there's a lot here, and then you see the, science behind it with, actual brain scans. And so, like, you start to realize, at least I did, so, it took a while to get there, though,
I can't, I think I get frustrated with myself because I can't tell you how many times that I will just sit and listen to, Mark's natural law series, because there's so much to it.
There is. Yeah.
Every time you go
That's
through
a bad thing?
No, I'm saying every time you go through it, so you pick up like another little gem. Like it took me a while, and I think it was because I was running on a bad operating system, that I couldn't figure out Trivium to save my life. Now I got it.
Right.
The light bulb finally went on,
Right, because that's what happens eventually, It's sometimes the anger of other people stops that from happening, So I would still encourage that person because, like you said, it worked for you when you were ready for it. It worked for me. It worked for Lisa. But, it's coming out of those emotional stages. And Mark's work, Michael Tsarion's work, people like that really help you to realize that you're being programmed with those emotions to get angry. So, once you can, and like I said, the scientific work of understanding how emotions affect your body and, a thought.
And pattern recognition is another huge one that, at least the way I learn, which I know everybody learns differently, whether you use the Trivium method or not, as in processing information, it worked for me in seeing that, hey, wait, this matches this, only the characters are different.
Yeah.
Only, certain things have been changed to, I laugh, protect the innocent or what have you. But you can start seeing the same general basis of so much.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It really, and the control that you really have when they're setting up an environment to program your thoughts, and then that thought triggers an emotion, and then that emotion tells the body, oh, this is happening, and all the chemicals are released, and then that triggers more thoughts, and people get caught in that. When you realize that's done and you can control that, that's what started pulling me finally out of things. I externalized that for a long time before I finally internalized it.
Yeah. Hey, Tom.
Yeah.
And I know this is probably not how the programming languages worked, but with the whole emotions cascading down like a waterfall, and how humans are like a computer, and that cascading style sheets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's kind of like that. I mean, it's not as that. It's you know what I mean? Like it's cascading down in the different styles.
Yeah.
Of whatever the emotion is, like fear, anger.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think that shows then how this other computer, this artificial and computer intelligence that wants to actually, it makes sense that we operate like a computer, and that's why this can be done. People just don't, I guess what I'm getting at is once you've taken all this information, you realize, well, wait a minute, I don't have to, I got angered, I get pissed off at this, but that doesn't mean I'm going to just not care about it, because I'm not fucking doing this. And you start to get courage and you know what I mean? And then you want to tell others. It's a whole progression that, when people skip over Mark's work or kind of just stick with YouTubers that are telling you the fucking world's ending and all that shit. You just get in a cycle of that. You just don't. So people go, you know what? I don't need to fucking put that on at all. So,
Well, it is a lot. Okay, I'm very blessed because during my day job, I drive.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the opportunity. I mean, before, I got into this, I would watch videos here and there, but then I started getting interested in lectures. When I was off the whole, I can't watch TV. I can't listen to any music anymore. I started listening to lectures, thinking, okay, well, hopefully I'm not being programmed by this. But so now, I mean, that's what I get to do during the day. I probably take in, 5 to 6 hours of nothing but lectures and people like Mark and, trying to gain more knowledge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, no matter who it is, you always have to look at it from the trivium, like I said, that I finally got, about it, I would say 6 months ago, okay, so you have to take out all this emotion. They've programmed you to be an emotional wreck.
Yeah.
They want to incite your anger, incite your empath, your empathic side. They want you to just be like, oh, poor, however way they want to spin a story.
Mm-hmm.
And once you that's what people don't understand is once you take that emotion out, it doesn't mean that you're a stone cold individual that doesn't feel.
Mm-hmm.
It means that you're trying to gather the facts.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then look at them. And I think a lot of people might have trouble with that.
Yeah, they fear that. They fear, the
and to listen to 8 hours of being told that.
Yeah.
And not either having a block to where you haven't been able to take the ego away, the outer shell. That people don't even have a true definition of ego.
No.
In my opinion,
they don't.
Yeah, let's kind of clarify this, because the ego is not like the new age, like unbridled new age beliefs. They say the ego is bad and must be expunged.
No,
also known as also known as gotten rid of. And Jackie's right in her assertion that that's wrong, because it's meant to be a guide,
right?
But it's not meant to be. But it's not meant to be the aviator, shall we say?
Right.
Yeah, the director. I call it the director.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's what is programmed. People don't realize that's where the programming is. They think they are something that they've become on their own, and they've been actually programmed to be it and to psychologically live it, and this is their identity, and you know what I mean? And
yes.
Phantom self is all about the labels.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
When you ask somebody in general, who are you? And they'll give you basically the same type of predisposed response as military would give you: name, rank, and serial number.
Yeah.
They'll give you their name, They'll give you what they do and what they love.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that's who they are. And it's like you look at people and say, no, I want to know, who you are.
See, and that's the work that people are afraid of. That's why we're here, because that's what's manipulated. These controllers know that, and they know how to use that, that mask, and keep people in that. Like even now, and going back, like how many people just can't wait to go back because, the boss at this other place, and whatever builds up their ego and their identity, they'll be willing to just trade it off, like you said, because a lot of this time home, I don't know. They say domestics are up and all that kind of stuff. See, I don't.
I'm sure they are.
I would not.
How could you deny that?
I mean, I love being home with my family. We don't, you know what I mean? So I do live in a princess fairy tale world, I guess, there, because not saying we don't, have our spats, but I'm saying we genuinely like to be together, our family,
and I know I see the same thing when, talking to my son. I mean, I had 25 years in a marriage raising my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And that was what I call, you've heard me refer to it as my other life.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was very materialistic. It was very keep up with the Joneses.
Mm-hmm.
It was, it was just all based on a lie,
Mm-hmm.
is what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that now.
Right.
But
right.
people, if they don't have the lie, they don't have anything. They
Mm-hmm.
think that they don't have anything.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Well, this is why they're at home bickering with each other, because they don't know how to sit still with themselves and, think.
I couldn't have done this quarantine in my old life.
And the other life. Right.
Oh, no. I would have been somewhere.
Yeah.
Or killed somebody.
Well, it's true. It's. I mean, look. Even though, like I said, my family genuinely likes to be together. We don't. We like our going out and doing our own things too. So believe me. So if you're in a mode where you're kind of in that materially trapped world and egoic world, like you said, that we all were in at some point, and this has been ripped away for 3 months. I mean, it's definitely psychologically.
Yes,
maddening, and people taking out on each other in the house, and so I mean, I get it, but if people would really just realize, that the whole thing that like you're saying and Lisa's saying about the self, and once you confront or begin to want to know, and I don't even mean you have to sit down and start going, okay, what is the deep darkest me? That all comes later. You're not going to start that way.
It'll come up in time. You're going.
Yeah.
Dark side will pop up. Trust me.
And actually,
it'll pop up.
Yeah.
The person who started me on that because I didn't even know where to begin in this, but the reading Manly P. Hall or listening to him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's where sit and reflect. Just sit and reflect on your day and the things that happened to you. But people don't want to do that either. It's like, oh my God, that's so boring. Why would you want to do that?
Yeah,
and the thing is, and people also misconstrue that you have to be in meditation for 20 minutes. I don't do regular meditation. I do
no.
I do small intervals throughout my day. I don't do I'm just going to sit there and say for 30 minutes straight. I couldn't do that. I had to go up and do stuff.
I have never been able to do what these people talk about. Like I said, I'm foreign to it because I've never been able to meditate. I can sit and be in contemplative thought, but I don't go outside of my body into other universes. I don't think I'm physically, capable of doing that, to be honest. I mean,
yeah, well, it's mentally hard too. I mean, I here's for instance, this would be how you start, how we've all started, and I'll use Mark as an example. Back. Yeah, go ahead. Okay. I'll use Mark as an example. I have trouble with meditating, and in listening to Mark, when he would talk about, people's minds that won't shut up, You know,
Right.
I realized during my meditations that this is part of my problem. My mind won't shut up, and I'll catch myself trying to just black it out, and all of a sudden, there'll be, and if it is shut up, there's a song playing in there. You know what I mean? Like that I heard on the radio. Like, and I have to be like, Jesus Christ, I'm telling my own self, shut the fuck up. It's
and you start to think to yourself, oh, is this healthy? Now I'm cussing at myself.
Yeah,
I'm more mad than when I started.
And that's why I would quit, because I'm like, oh, I just can't do this. I'm fidgety. I can't. But I would start to realize that it's my own mind that is making it that way, and I need to. So I that's something I learned to practice, and it came from Mark screaming at his audience one day how people don't shut the fuck up in their own head. You know what I mean? Like people don't want to. They don't want to internalize the words. They just want to be like, oh, he's yelling at us. So I mean, those are stages that I say that, just like you did, and you even said it, Jackie. You did it very similar to me, because I drove for almost my whole life everywhere for hours. You play presentations, and as you're listening to presentations and you're learning certain information and then you're following up on it, you're starting to see some of the things that you do or identify with, that they're talking about affect things negatively. Like you're starting to make these connections yourself. So then it starts going deeper from there, and that's why I think for me, I read, of course, but I struggle with headaches. I'm a visual learner. I like presentations. I'll watch a 12-hour David Icke presentation 4 times,
I'll sit there in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and like you said, learn something new every time, because it's such a huge body of work that there's always something in there that you've missed that could help you.
And what is it with people? I know we kind of touched on this before. Okay, David Icke went through his thing. Yes, in the beginning, he did go a little far out there. I don't know, I personally can discern I don't know your validity of reptilians and the family thing, or being Jesus or whatever it was he said.
Right. Well, I understand what happened with the Jesus thing, but
I'm saying, we can get past that.
Right.
What is the block for other people?
Right.
That they can't get past that and just say, oh, well, he's loony. He's Looney Tunes.
The lizard guy. That's always my favorite, and it's an easy excuse, because, if you do go down the David Icke rabbit hole, it's life-changing, and, those people, they're not ready for it, because it's an easy excuse to, and, if you look at when he was on the Wogan show and he was having those discussions and saying, if you realize what he's saying now is we all kind of are waking up to the fact that we are all this, which is what he was doing. And it was kind of put in context. Are you saying you're Jesus? You're saying you're God? And it was kind of like, well, yeah, but, and it all blew up.
It's called Christ consciousness, right? Is that what he's trying to say?
And that's what he was trying to explain. But he had just woken up and didn't know what friggin' planet he was on when all this information started coming to him. So
he had a fucking huge download of epic proportions.
Yeah,
he did a fairly good job.
And as far as
reiterated it far better than I could have.
And the reptilian thing, I was just explaining this to my acupuncturist, because he's finally, he's always known of David Icke, but that's kind of, stopped him from really getting into him. And we were talking when I was at the appointment, and he came up, he said, of course, as many people are saying, that the David Icke interview on London Real was spectacular,
It was. He knocked it out of the park.
Absolutely, So, of course, it came back around to, well, what do you think of the reptilian thing? So, I have to say it the way that I feel. Look, I can look at it. I don't know what David encountered and I know what he said, and I know but it has to stay on the table with things. But I don't necessarily look at these people and worry about some reptilian force controlling them. I really don't. That's been talked about through the Gnostic traditions and all those kind of things. I look at it more of them living in the reptilian brain, survivor mode, fear mode, and if exactly, and if that goes out of the dimension into that stuff, and David stumbled into it, well, I'll keep it on the table, but I don't walk around worrying about all that, because he talks about 10 billion other things, like, so that not only wouldn't turn me off from David Icke, but it's also something when you go through Mark's Cosmic Abandonment, or you'll go through even the Ancient Alien series, even though it's slanted a certain way, they're all talking about the same damn thing. And when you get into the Bible, they're doing the same thing too. So, why not?
Pattern recognition.
Exactly.
Pattern recognition.
this-
Why are the baselines the same for every story, mythos? No matter what, if you set them side by side, they're always going to come out the same baseline.
Oh, but those ancients, they're so fucking stupid. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
So primitive.
Don't get me started on that, please.
I know. Well, it's true, Lisa. That's what people think,
No, it's not true, Dan.
Oh no, it's not true.
It's not true, but it's
true that that's what people think. Is what I'm saying. That's
agreed.
That's what people think.
No, that's not true.
She was like, whoa, now you back up.
Well, I'll tell you one thing.
Heretic. No, just kidding.
Yeah, right. I don't know how. Last night, in fact, my wife and I were sitting watching something on the History Channel because there was nothing on TV. I said, see what's on the History Channel. And I'm looking at it and I'm going, I'd never think to myself, as much as I couldn't stand history in school because it was nothing but just memorization and spit back. And, I hated it.
Dates, all you need to know, dates and names.
I love it so much now when you're delving into things that are actually giving, a picture here to things. I'll watch. Again, even some of the propagandized stuff that's out there in the world, it doesn't work without the truth in there. So once you start to see, oh, wait a minute, now that makes sense as to why, and you're doing your own actual homework, you start to get out of the anger phases, There's ways to get out of it, But when we're living in a world that's locking us down and doing all this shit, people are just going to be pissed,
Well, that in here, it's going to get even worse because it's going to get god-awful hot.
Yeah.
We're coming into a time of year to where we're going to be doing 100+ days, probably 110+ days.
Yeah, you guys are hot out there, we get hot here too at the beach, but not like you guys.
Irritated.
Yep.
Everybody's irritated. Everybody's acting from emotion.
Yeah.
They can't think of anybody else.
Yep. Well,
themselves.
My buddy reminded me last night, it was really good to hear him say this because it's nice when, other people are kind of half awake, but this event did wake them up. And this is what happened to him. And he said to me, this is how they always do it, divide and rule. What they're going to do is get these people with the masks who are afraid of everybody else and just turn us on each other, and I'm just sitting on the other end of the phone with a big smile because, I'm like, God, it's good to hear you finally fucking say that. Cause I've been saying shit like this for years, you know what I mean? And I'm just, everybody busts my balls because we're a very ball busting bunch, we have to laugh and we have to laugh at each other.
It's a small personal victory is what it is. It's like, yes.
Yeah. I realize his clarity now is there and he sees it. And, it's just, I'm hoping that's going on more than we realize. Put it that way, with people. I'm
keeping it in my head that it is.
I know.
I try not, and I see it. My daughter, I go back to, and I've never been really indoctrinated into the religion or any of that. I spent my time testing the waters there and being like, no, this ain't going to work. But when they say there's truth in everything, I think about the Bible saying, in these times, it will be mother against daughter.
Yes.
Father against son, brother against sister, and there will be a line.
Yeah. And that line is the truth. It is whether you choose it or not. It's, and it's really a big part of the entire Christ story when it comes to the Judas story or the Peter story or even, the Barabbas mentality. I've talked about those in my videos. That is the divide. You know what I mean? Whether or not you're going to choose the truth and stand in it or you're going to be, one of these condemning, controlling, and that's who humanity's been like forever. You know what I mean? So I'm really hoping that people, because I like to think that, we've never really, and I've said it before, we've never been here. It's quite possible we've been here, you know what I mean, at a point where technology ruled globally. But I don't think we've ever really been in a place where the entire genetic makeup of your body can be technologically overtaken by, rulers and And
I don't know about that because
I don't know.
There's so many technologies that you see in the pyramids themselves, in these, wondrous sites. Of course, I can't think of anything right offhand, where it looks like they've been lasered, people will claim that it's the Anunnaki, or if they had that kind of technology, who's to say that there's a possibility that we're maybe just not like human 0.1, and it all got wiped out. And
it's possible. It definitely is.
And I'd like to bring out a video. It's called Egypt's Secret Underground Temple of Energy from Brian Forster's channel. So that's the one you guys should check out too. So.
I take in a lot of mystery history. And
that's a good one too.
Their channel is another good channel just to see the wonders of the world that people have tried to claim that this is, people with copper tools and sledgehammers.
Jeez.
Yeah, it is.
Sense.
It does. It makes no sense.
I have a beautiful sauna resort over in Siberia for you to check out.
Well, right, exactly. Well, I mean,
people be like,
I certainly would definitely say the technologies existed, and that's how they kept a lot of control and a lot of fear over. But, I just wonder, have we been dumbed down like this to ever have actually submitted to a computerized? Because, I don't know, like you said, Jaci, a cataclysm maybe occurred and we're at a start over period, and these people are certainly trying to build back their civilization. Because if we were attached somehow to some, cloud that was programming perception, that would really be the only way I'd see us getting out of it, would be some kind of...
an ancient AI.
Yeah, the only way out.
Been found or
the same damn one. Who knows? I mean, who really knows what
Either way, it's bad news.
It is,
Possibilities are endless.
They are, and people just will give up and say, "Oh, it's the end times,"
AI is our contact intelligence. Let's just put it like that.
It is.
And that's one hard thing to get people to swallow, no matter what, whether they're religious or non-religious. But it is the truth, I believe. Well, I'm not going to say the truth because there's only one truth.
Right,
but I believe there's truth in the fact that they're using Revelations as a script.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and one last thought on the whole ancient history, parallels with today. I haven't researched this a whole bunch, but basically there's a general theme that Atlantis, I'm not sure if Lemuria or whatever, they use crystals and things like that. There's that video by David Icke that says humans are like crystals or something like that.
Yeah, the whole body, a lot of the body's crystalline. Yeah.
And one of the people who helped me as I was spiritually awakening, she says our bodies are becoming more crystalline. I'm not sure how true that is, but also with the whole AI and nanotechnology, when you go into all the technological websites with their huge words, they talk about crystals a lot. They talk about things of that nature. They talk about it a ton. So it's huge to their things.
It's funny you bring that up, Lisa, because that too was on Max's video this morning. He played a clip from, and I forget the girl's name, but she was talking about nanotechnology and how it works in comparison with crystals in the body and all these different things. It was just on that same clip that it was with the school teachers. And
the piezoelectric power, from our, I know Sarah talked about that before. The piezoelectric power that comes from the pituitary gland in our body. So I haven't. Yeah, so.
I've read about that from her as well, and it makes a lot of sense.
It does, and people yet will, laugh hysterically if you go that far with them in the beginning. But eventually, as they begin to wake up, all of these roads connect into. I mean, even now to look around, why else would they fabricate this entire thing and put surveillance in and want to get into the body? And, why, if this wasn't a robot, artificial, intelligently based idea to run the world through technology. I mean, they're not doing this to save you from a flu. It's not. They wouldn't do this to save you from a flu. They don't give a shit. You know what I mean?
They've never closed the world down for a flu before.
No, just look at their solutions that they're telling you on the dumb TV now. It's not conspiracy. They're telling you they want to bring in.
And okay, and I've been sort of reading this article, and I've quoted a few of the tweets on my Twitter from Giza Death Star, Joseph Farrell's website.
That is amazing.
And it's from the article U.S. military bans coronavirus survivors from the 11th. So, and he goes it's a very good article. Everyone should read about this. But basically, can I read about this in length?
Put it out there. Sure. Absolutely.
Okay.
To me, it was so well written because it shows you basically two sides of the coin. He was very, what's the word that I want? He was very much so not biased on either side.
Mm-hmm.
He was just giving you the information and how it could be working out. But yes, please go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. And I'm like just a few paragraphs down, so not too much, too bad. But okay. Quote, there's another possibility in this area as well. On Sunday, May 3rd of last week, Joseph, appeared on Mr. Richard C. Hoagland's The Other Side of Midnight radio and podcast show. During that interview, he pointed out something interesting and indulged in a bit of high-octane speculation of his own. The interesting bit of data that he pointed out was that there appeared to be rather abnormal concentrations of the virus in the brains of the unfortunate people who died from it. That in turn suggests that the virus is able somehow to breach the blood-brain barrier. He also pointed out that the little spikes we've all seen on the pictures of the virus were triangular in shape, as if they were examples of nanoengineering. From these, he entertained the speculation that perhaps the virus was some sort of mind manipulation technology, deliberately designed it to lodge in the brain and perhaps alter behavior. This made some sense to me as I pointed out that Dr. Charles Lieber, Harvard University's chemistry department, was involved in nanoengineering and was connected to the Wuhan laboratory, as was Dr. Anthony Fauci. I pointed out as one of the high-octane speculation possibilities that are out there. In the course of that show, we also speculated that perhaps this virus was also some sort of Michael Crichton Andromeda strain novel scenario. In Crichton's novel, the strain is a virus brought back to Earth by a satellite specifically designed to go out into space and scoop up pathogens and return them to Earth for biowarfare uses. Appropriately enough, the project is called Project Scoop. Only the virus escapes and gets into the general population. Of course, this is the wildest speculation of them all. However, oddly enough, there are some indicators out there that this idea cannot be entirely dismissed. Indicator 1, there are already a number of physicians, virologists, geneticists, and so on who have already argued that the virus shows signs of 1, having been engineered, and 2, being a bioweapon. Indeed, I myself have argued in earlier blogs that it might be a kind of bioelectromagnetic technology, its nano components being activated by certain electromagnetic contexts as a virus one can literally turn on or turn off. And while all this propatainment hysteria goes on and on, the U.S. Space Force releases its first TV commercial, which emphasizes an off-planet career. And a few weeks ago, the European Space Agency canceled a Mars probe because of, you guessed it, the virus. Is all this far-fetched and far off the twig of speculation? You betcha. The trouble is, there's too much of all of this that is strange, and that makes me think that the pandemic narrative way of interpreting the military's ban, while the most plausible in and of itself, doesn't really have the spread to cover all the strangeness. See you on the flip side.
It is really interesting to think about it. The only, I guess, playing devil's advocate that I can think of on that was if I'm trying to figure out how to word this properly. If it would be something, most people don't even understand that their heart is run on electromagnetic energy.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And for them to decide that they were going to do the nanoparticulates that they could turn on and turn off, would there be a consent that you would have to give instead of them just blanketing it, you know, and like putting it in the chemtrails or putting it in the foods, which we all know are poison in one way or another. But I'm just trying to think of an alternate delivery system. If they were giving it to people basically without their knowledge, there would be no consent. So are they allowed to do that? And I don't mean allowed like by law. I mean allowed by what we consider law and truth. Because they say that you have to give consent.
Right. What would the karmic consequence be for that, for them?
That's what I was looking for. Bingo. Thanks, Tom.
Right. No, you're welcome.
Not really addressing what you just said, Jackie, but one sort of thing that I thought of when I was reading that article is that there's a video on YouTube. It's called Electromagnetic Fields and the Leakage of the Blood-Brain Barrier.
Okay.
And at samambigate.org, they have that. It's basically that video is from Dr. Leif Salford. And it's first a 20-minute talk, first published in 2012. The blood-brain barrier research was published in 2003, still very relevant and important today, according to the website. So, anyways.
Yeah, but I think
just
like you're saying, I think there's so many levels of this that you know are things being, like you say, you know, spread throughout the wind. They want to infuse certain things, rocks, plants, but is there something different necessary as far as a consent? Because, you know, everything, even now, all of this is happening eclectically by consent, you know. If we didn't put up with this in the whole, then it wouldn't happen, you know. There may be some of us rogue people that are saying, you know, bullshit, and they're trying to put those fires out before it grows, but it's still a public consent, you know, by most. So
kind of going back to, I guess that would fall under the aggregate.
Yeah, you know, I mean, because they're obviously, you know, is, or at least I would say, you know, karmic, you know, consequences for both the individual and the whole, you know, and our individual may be different than the whole when it comes to the end of this thing because we choose differently, which, you know, may even remove us from this planet, you know, in the end. But, you know, but as far as actually changing, you know, things like people don't even know that they have consent here, that they're giving consent for this just by staying ignorant of the facts and the truth and letting this be done to them, and then wanting it to be done to others, taking the next step of wanting to control other people.
Right.
You know, I think there's a karmic consequence for that, obviously, and you know. The fact that we're here, this is where I think New Age gets lost, you know, the fact that we're here too, we're going to suffer that same in the physical, you know, whichever happens here, we're all going to go through it, you know.
Right.
And people just think they can New Age their way out of it and frolic and pick flowers.
They're living in 5D.
Yeah.
This doesn't touch them.
Yeah,
you
no,
know?
that's not how it works. Okay.
And I don't mean to make fun of people that way, but
No,
when
but
I hear
right,
that,
Jackie.
I just bang my head
No,
against the wall.
I agree, and
Right.
I do it too, and some people have a better way of explaining. Look, you want to look. I'm the same. I'm real. It annoys me. I make fun of it at times because people got to just get out of that mindset. Come on, just pull a little common sense into it. All of these New Age concepts are great, but there is proper action that's necessary, and to just deny that and pretend you're in your own little, you know, world, and all I got to do is observe and go, oh, that's evil. I won't do that. You know what I mean? If I can let it happen to your neighbor, I just, you know, I don't know, you know.
Yeah, you just have to take it that next step further.
Yeah, you know, and I just think if people can get pissed off enough to do it, you know, because there's got to be a fire. There's got to be, as Mark would say in his last presentation, you know, righteous anger to even begin to say no. And to do that, you have to know, you know, you have to love yourself. You have to care enough about yourself, your family, you know, not fitting in and being safe, but, you know, their actual soul here, you know.
I
is
just wish we could find a way to get that through. to people that are so brain, and it's not even that they're brain dead. You know, I mean,
No.
you can't say that they're brain. It's they just don't have the proper operating system to take it in.
Yeah, you know, they're too dumped into that left brain logic, physical identification, and they can take in all those facts, and they can study physics, and they can do things, you know, but they're
stuck in the opposite.
Or it's the
They're
opposite,
stuck
exactly.
in too much compassion, too much love. I just love everybody.
Yeah.
Yes, I love everybody too, but I'm not going to love you.
Yeah.
While you're watching
you to
these
death.
people,
Right.
yes, perpetrating evil, and yet you're just an observer. You're
Exactly.
just here to watch and not make a judgment.
Yeah.
Well, then you're complacent.
Yes.
And they don't see it as complacent.
No.
It's and complacency. It's like, okay, I see it in my situation. I see it with people who are more affluent, shall we say, and they are so I hate saying in 3D, but they're in the phantom self labels of like, this is all there is. You know, I am, X person, I work for X company, like my wife is the best, she can do,
right.
she can do no,
right.
I'm sorry.
Right. But like you said, a role, it's all about roles,
Yeah. It's all about the roles. And it's like,
but they don't understand the moral culpability. They don't understand that what you did, what you've agreed to is wrong.
Yeah.
To actually what got you there. I mean, we're taught it's a dog eat dog world. If you want to make it to the top, if you want to have everything you want here, then you got to step on the little guy and you got to climb that ladder no matter what the cost. And people are like, oh, that's how it's done. No, that's not how it's done.
Right.
And it's kind of funny because there's this awesome book out by Chris Jericho. It's called No is a 4-letter word. And okay, if no is such a 4-letter word, then why is it so hard for some people to and I know and Tom and Jack, I know about the whole phantom self thing. It's like it's so hard to break free of all the labels. It really is, because like if you're like safe and sound and like you've quarantined yourself in your your comfy house and with like no real with no real physical danger, really.
No threat.
And like no threats, no like, and I'm on the front lines, for example, we all are, but be selfish like I am, like I know one.
But I know what you're saying. You're out there working.
I know where you're going. Yeah. You're out there. You still have to make a living.
And I see it. It's like, okay, but this person can't. It saddens me and it blows my mind too, because like obviously I'm the only person I can control, but it's like, okay, like you have children and it's like, but you don't care enough to research about this, to take in this information. This is such an anathema to me. I just don't get it. And it's like, okay, you want to like say like Mark says, like people like they're all about like like freedom and like we want freedom and peace and stuff like that, but they don't want to do the inner work to get there. They don't want to face the hard truths that they've been duped and used, and I've been duped and used. Okay, like
we all have.
Like we've been duped and used and stuff, and it's like like we had to get over this.
Right.
It's like I'm thinking of how to guess. Well, it's like, okay, seriously, if I could just. You just wish you could dump all this knowledge into them. I was like,
well, but that is the cause, though. What you just said. That's the whole crux. Are people that like you said, they refuse to want to learn. They say they love their kids. But their day is rooted in what
3D only. They only it's only about what's happening in popular culture, what's happening only in politics. This person, they parrot the official lines about or about coronavirus. It's like seriously, come on.
Yeah.
It's
do
the lack.
It's the research.
But it's the complete lack of anybody wanting. I guess you have to seek spirituality.
You know,
that's something on an individual
not organized
level.
religion.
Yes,
Well,
you have to seek a spirituality, and there's got to be another word that maybe we could come up to use for it that would draw more people to it. I mean, like we've discussed before, it's the actual real law of attraction. People want to hear the frou-frou new age version of, you know, you do. Yeah,
Corvette. You know what I mean?
You only put stuff on your vision board, and that's all you have to do.
Yeah.
I was going to say you make your vision board, and then you talk to yourself about it, and you self-hypnotize, and you will manifest it.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. But how can we make it attractive, a better word? Because all people shy from spirituality in the beginning because they're like, oh, geez, they either think holy roller,
Right.
New Ager.
Yeah. Well, a lot of them too use their either lack of spirituality as a shield. You know what I mean? Like, this is how I survive. I don't believe in that nonsense, or you know what I mean? Like, it becomes part of the ego as well. You know, whether they're too religious or non-religious. That whole and when you. I mean, look, I'm sure not everyone this has happened to, but a lot of the people that I see who are completely awakening and kind of get this, they've gone through some real trauma in their life, and they've had to kind of stop and either reevaluate themselves and come out better or worse. You know what I mean?
And Tom, I hate saying this because I think that might be the only thing that might wake people up. I
It's
mean, like,
sad, but
I know
yeah.
I hate saying that, but it's like, like I just feel like for like the person I'm thinking of, I think that's the only thing to wake him up.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's like I hate like thinking of it as like, well, like maybe a deathless child. I mean, I know that's horrible. I know that's horrible to think about because I don't want any of them to die.
No, of course not.
Of course not.
But
these are the things that will.
I mean, like, what will it take?
Those are the things that will cut you off at the knees, and it's I've rode. Whatever roller coaster I was on, just nothing happened, and then boom, my legs were cut off, and it still wasn't something that I wanted to really sit down and deal with, And what happened was when my best friend did die, it became this part of me that I carried like a. I mean, I carried it like a badge, but it was the complete opposite. It was a weight.
It was a backpack full of rocks.
It was. And then, I had another one, happen very close to me and commit suicide. One of the main guys, I only had a couple people when I was a cop that I really trusted. And, when he committed suicide, it was like 8 months after that. And then, about a year after that, I had I was still working. It was, right before 9/11. I got out of there in September beginning. So this was probably August or so. We got a call for an unresponsive child, and it was a little infant, and he died. We couldn't bring him back, and it sent me into, like, I talk about it now, and I'm like, God was just beating the hell out of me. First of all, to get out of that job, I believe, and second of all, because without it, and without that whole dark road of I mean, look, I went on for a long time, you know what I mean, thinking that,
right.
I got through it, and this will make me sad, but it really wasn't until a long, I don't want to say, fall down a cliff, where you just start to sit back and go, all right, what the fuck is this all about? When and when you're on the ride and you're making tons of money and you're going out and you're this and you're taking the kids here and you're going there and you're on vacations, like, it's just, it takes something to stop that ride, unfortunately. And I just, it doesn't have to, you know what I mean? It's just, that's where we put ourselves, No, but that's where we've psychologically put ourselves, because we don't want to get off the ride while it's on the best part, people think, and then they keep going for the next best part and the next best part.
Yes, Jackie?
That's the huge. I'm sorry. That's the huge. I think that is humanity's biggest setback. Is if we could just get people to understand that everything that is here is mental.
Yeah,
it's all about your mental well-being. It's all about being being able to be balanced, being able to bring those two, together without having to break people down to that emotional wreck for them to even recognize. It's an emotional wreck enough when you do realize it, and then you have to look in the mirror.
Yeah.
No matter what happened to you, when you have to look at yourself, and honestly see it for what it is and make the changes. It's almost like people say that, what they're doing now, and it is trauma-based programming. It's not as severe as an SRA. It's not as severe as, but it's still a trauma-based programming.
Yeah.
So how do you get them not to look at that and start being able to say, look, if you look at yourself, if you really take a good, hard look at your emotions, where they are on the spectrum. And I'm just rambling, I know, but
you're right.
I always see it, the way I started to see it was like when you were a kid in elementary school and you had that number line on your desk. And in the middle of the number line was 0. And then, you went up to the left and you went up to the right. So if you can look at yourself and just say, recognize when that meter starts going a little to one or a little to the other, and being able to look and say, what is causing this? Does that make sense? That if they could look at that, because it is on that mental spectrum.
Yeah, everything begins there. You know what I mean? Like you said, it does. It makes complete sense, because the whole structure of society in itself is based in, trauma-based mind control. So for people to even begin, like you said, that process, it's just not something that people kind of go, oh, you know what? I think I'm gonna, until something kind of pushes them off. And it's like you said, it doesn't have to be that way. Like there are ways to come to this,
I guess it's kind of like instead of them like trying to tell people, instead of focusing on what's happening, what's giving you the emotion, why don't you focus on exactly that? Why are they trying to make you feel that way? Kind of.
Yeah.
Or, I guess that's recognizing your triggers as well, just in a very long, drawn out kind of way about it.
But you're right. It's awareness. You know what I mean? Being aware of your behavior, being aware of, and most people, they don't have time for that. They're just, you know what I mean?
They do have the time for it. They subconsciously or consciously choose not to.
They choose not to. Yeah. Well, you're right. Exactly. You're absolutely right. They busy themselves with the Monopoly board. Yeah. And the Monopoly board, if it's working out for them, and they bought Boardwalk and Park Place, they're doing great. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they are. Trust me.
and yet they are the first people to turn around and say, "Well, it's my right."
Oh yeah. It's a hell of a job that's been done on us as a species. And the whole psychology of it, when you really look at it, it's evil. It's good psychology rooted in positive aspects of truth of how we work, and then it's used in such an evil way.
Inversion.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. It's used as the inversion of manipulation and coercion and exploitation.
Yeah. And it's
exploitation on a grand scale.
Yeah,
under the guise of love. Trust me.
That's why I plug my Survivor show all the time. It is exactly this world. It is the manipulation. It is the ego. It is all of these things. And like I said, I'm not saying watch it and emulate it, but understand the psychology of the game, and you'll understand a lot of the people around you.
And people are amazed to even realize. Like, I'm sure you know it, because you're a fan of the show. But when people are actually presented with the fact that when they do the casting for that show, they do the psychological profiles in order to bring all the characters.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It's a reality show.
Absolutely.
But they're basing the excitement and keeping you intrigued with it by pitting these personalities against each other on a psychological scale. And people look at you and go, no, man, they just do a casting call.
No, they don't. And it's on all scales. It's a psychological scale. It's a physical scale. It's a spiritual and emotional scale. Yeah. It's on all scales. It is, and, when you see, and it's kind of one of the things I used to, when some of the kids I worked with would go home and watch the show, and I'd see them the following week and we'd talk about it. And we would talk about empathy and emotions. And you would see some of the blind sides. Like, in order for that person to walk in and have no idea they're going home, they've put all of their trust in and their perception in what they believe is going on, and then they found out it was a lie,
It's all a lie.
Yeah, so I would use that kind of as a springboard for, because a lot of the kids I work with were liars and manipulators, and they this is what they were. They were coming from the system and no parenting and abuse, trauma. So I was doing a whole rebuild of these guys, and to do that, you have to look at the dark. So I spent 16 years with these kids, hearing things that you would just go, oh my God, if that was in a TV show, you'd just say, I can't fucking watch this. Like, it's so sad, But if you don't, as a person, recognize all of that, deal with those emotions, and eventually forgive, you're going to become that. You're going to become the result of that. It's going to make up your whole personality, and you will see the world from that perspective. And I would use that with these kids to try to explain to them that you have the power to get out of this, but it's hard. It's hard on a scale when you see, when the child really knows nothing. And I've talked about kids, like I've had young kids like 8, 9, but a lot of them were teenagers up until they were 22, some of them. And this process, I'd have them for like 2, 3 years and see them weekly. And so it's a very gradual process. Some people we advanced quickly. Some people never did, and you just kept nipping away because, if you're not brought up in an environment where you feel safe and you feel confident and you feel like you can do things and you feel accepted and you're constantly striving for that, it's psychologically easy to manipulate. You know what I mean? Out there in the world, Yeah,
it goes back to all your software is bad.
Yeah,
everything that's loaded on your processor is bad. It's corrupt.
Yeah, going back to what you said, Lisa,
clean it back up. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's true, and it does work. It's just it's for the kids I work with and the trauma they went through. It was about building trust to even get that far. And most people have their walls up, even in real life, because everybody goes through trauma and they don't deal with it properly. Right. And the stress builds up and it fills up till people explode, and then they get a little bit more room, and then they it needs to be drained. People, like you said, it needs to be completely abolished from the body, because otherwise all those emotions can be manipulated by a dumb thing like this, by politics, religion. I mean, you name it,
and they also make sure you have no time to actually process or deal with something.
It's true.
Because they just keep throwing it at you.
Yeah.
Just every time you turn around, you're just like, okay, I got to deal with this, but then I have responsibilities and I have to take care of this. And, I'm just going to push that to the back of my mind.
That was my wife for the longest time. She's like, oh, I'll look at it. I just don't have time right now. I got to worry about this and that and this and that. And I kept going, as frustrating as it was, but eventually, the seeds blossom.
You break it down.
And it's up to them when that seed blossoms, I mean, really it started prior to this pandemic for her, but this all happening with me saying A, B, C, D, E, F, G is going to be coming in over the next years if we don't. And what's coming in, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, like not even a little bit of a variation. All the things they want is what they are bringing in here. Mm-hmm. It's you
were showing the pattern.
Yeah, she recognized it, and she hit a choice point too. She could remain in fear, stay scared of it, and not want to face it, or she could see what was in front of her and what I've laid out over the years, and kind of like David's work. He always says if he didn't write all those books, and lay all this out, then, his work wouldn't really mean anything now. He'd be doing the same thing everyone else is. But he's laid this out for so long that, it's not only vindicated him, but it shows you like you said, the pattern recognition and the enormity of the plan,
The grand scale.
Yeah. So I think that this is what people just need to do. Like, there is no magic answer. Just speak the truth and be the truth, whatever's going on, and I think we'll find maybe that more people really do want the truth. People want it, it's just whether or not they'll accept it. And, if they're looking to be really this evasive and just, controlling, like, I almost hope they bit off more than they can chew here. Like, this is not being done incrementally here. This is like,
oh my gosh, no.
No, this is like a fucking walloping takeover,
Trump summed it all up nicely for them.
Oh, no,
it's I want to believe in the political system and what's going on. It's Operation Warp Speed.
Oh, yeah,
hurry up, get it done so nobody questions nothing.
Yeah, and that crew, I'm quite sick of the people that believe in that guy still. Come on, man, no, it's 37. It's got to be 37 D-chests by now. We're up to keeping his enemies closer. He said this on TV, but he made hand signals, and then he wrote a tweet, and you can see what he really meant by the tweet for the Q people. It's like, I feel like my head, like The Exorcist, is about to spin around when I hear shit like that. Like, you know what I mean?
What? That is one of the most perfectly executed psyops I've ever seen in my life. Because
genius.
They will go in and they will decode. And they will decipher. They will watch his videos over and over.
It was fucking boring.
Yeah. Oh, well.
I've never had an interest in ever heard it.
But they think they're doing something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then you tell them, hey, dwell into this. Put that energy into this, and it'll all open up to you.
Yeah, and while Q is directing their attention the way they want it to be directed, what else is happening on the other side?
Yeah. Well, that we ignore all that. That's all.
No, we're not going to ignore.
What I mean?
No. Fuck that.
I'm talking about them. You know what I mean? But this is what they. We can't.
Sorry.
No, you just don't know what's going on. I love that one. You just don't know what's. Oh, motherfucker!
Yeah.
I know what's going on. You know what I mean? Like I've had that said to me. I'm like, oh, stop.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
And then you try to. This is what I try to do. I try to approach them. I can't say I've always been good at playing that mediator, like seeing both sides of something. I may not have come to the correct conclusion until later on, but I've always been one of those people that can see both sides. Mm-hmm. So, you ask them, okay, well, if this is happening and, you're into decoding this and saying that he's giving you messages or what however it may be, why can't you be open enough to see this side and maybe dwell into that to where you can gather all your information and compare them side by side?
Well, then right. Then they would have to be wrong.
Because Q is just another self-contained ism. That's what it all is.
Oh yeah, very ism. Very well done. To get these people to stand down the way that they. I mean, I just even now to see that people still believe in that. Like, I mean, even in the beginning, look, we were all looking at it in the beginning, yes. but this far in, when they're talking about, showing up and taking your kids and vaccines and all this, and this guy saying, I'm Operation Warp Speed, but my
I'm Operation I Love AI, yeah. So I'm going to invest in like millions and millions and millions into it, but no, I'm still a good president.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing,
I still love 5G and I still love the Internet of Things. I still love the Internet of Bio Nano things, but no, it's okay. I'm still a good good person. I'm still not totally controlled. Oh.
If my hair blows up, if his hair blows straight twice, that means that's a signal. You know what I mean? Like, fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like, did you see it?
Okay, like instead of like reading like entrails for prophecy and shit like that, we're getting me with Q.
Yes.
Seriously.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they're doing. It gave the people something to believe in.
Yeah.
Something to keep them from looking at anything except for what was going on.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm also gonna put this out here. I like to use like those oracle cards and shit like that, and I have more dignity in using those than the people who believe in Q.
Oh,
unquestionably. I'm just gonna lay it out there. Boom.
Yes.
Yeah. It's and again, I love. Well, could you imagine?
Don't apologize.
I'm not sorry.
I love when they say, could you imagine if Hillary got in? Well, you know what? I have a feeling if Hillary got in and all this stuff was going on, you'd be going out of your fucking mind. You know what I mean? Like if nothing changed and everything was the same and they got in or they get in after this, like you'd be having a fit. But because he's in there, they have a sense of no, it's all show. It's going to be okay. And like, I don't know.
And you try to point out to people too that, I mean, they're getting so slack in their game. Like back, let's say with JFK, people were very strong into, family and patriotism and your country and this and that. And they actually spoke some words of wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
They actually at least put up a great front.
Yeah, they had to.
Within the past 5 years, this has become a three-ring sideshow, three-ring circus sideshow.
It has.
Of recess antics. I mean, they're not even, how can you respect people that are going to argue like school children and do nothing but bash each other?
Yeah, you're right.
And then be buddy-buddy.
Or the people whose only concern is to bash Nancy Pelosi because she has a wearing like fucking slave mask.
Yeah, she is.
And that Hillary Clinton called it good color coordination, which it is. Who the fuck cares?
I mean,
let's just be honest. Like, okay, whatever.
She is some kind of autonomous creature. Let's not be.
That's true. No, that's true. But still,
they're just all in the same.
Look, like you said,
the same club. Yeah.
The entirety, not just this pandemic, the entirety of these past years, like you said, it's been a joke. You know what I mean? Like, who can't see now that this is where we've come to, that this is still, you still think like, I don't know, the monetary reset and everybody's going to be handed, we're going on a gold standard and yay, we love America, you're all getting money. We still think that's going on. We still think silver's going to save us all. They're bringing in vaccine, surveillance, your money's not going to do shit. Your Bitcoins and it's not going to do anything for you if they're bringing in vaccine, social crediting, surveillance, you know what I mean? All this stuff with it. Yes. That means you're going to choose the money over all that because you ain't getting both. You know what I mean? You're not going to be able to take the money and say, "Oh, I'm not getting the vaccine." They don't work that way. You know what I mean?
No, you don't get something for nothing.
No, so you've got these people waiting for the monetary crashes, and everybody's hoarding all their stuff, and then you got, like you said, the Q people are all going to be liberated, and it's just there's so many different factions. While all we're doing is losing rights. That's all this is about. That's all that's happening. Nothing else is happening. Rights are being taken, and they're coming in and saying, "Fuck you, I'm doing it. What are you going to do about it?" Well, my hope is that a lot of people go, "Fuck you." You know what I mean?
Yes.
And speaking of which, shall we talk more about unalienable rights?
Yeah. Yeah, I got about 20 minutes. I got about 20 minutes. Is that okay with you guys? Okay.
That's fine.
And, I was looking, back over them and the only problem that I have with it, okay, well, not really a problem, with the actual word itself.
I didn't
inalienable.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Inalienable means it's actually unalienable and it's unlienable. That supposedly they're not able to put any lien or squash you in any way against it legally. But we all know about the legal system and the farce that is.
Yeah.
So
all designed. that way, you know?
It's all designed that way. But when it really comes down to it, the only rights you have are to protect yourself, to, not no thieving in any way, and to be left alone. Those are like your outside of the judicial system. Those are your only real rights that are unalienable.
Which,
does that make sense?
Yeah, it's so hard to explain rights in the things that we can do and things that we do, because so much of it is what we shouldn't do. And like you said, it's a very simple thing. People have the right to be left alone. They have a right to, without. So this is where people get lost too, without causing harm or initiating harm, and they think that they're not causing or initiating harm if they, ignore a war. There's nothing I can do about it, or they ignore the chemtrails. There's nothing I can do about it. Like, these things are also agreeing and complying with it. So you may not be manifesting that, but you are allowing it to be manifested, and like, these are some of the things I think people don't really think that they do wrong. Like, I mean, I get that answer around me a lot. Like, what can I do about it? I remember pointing out the chemtrails to one guy. He's like, "Oh, it's just going to be me, you standing here talking about it. Ain't a fucking thing we can do." And I just was like, "Oh my God," like, right. I just, and all these things are being done. Well, who's doing them? Let's realize who's doing them. We all are, in the whole, through the structure, through our dedication to this system that you were just talking about. That we're choosing over the actual freedom and independent inherent souls that we are. We're turning ourselves over to this, and I think people just think if they go along to get along and don't, and they wave to their neighbor, that they're good people. It's a little more than that. You know what I mean?
Or that if you are a good Christian, that's enough. Or if people think that you're the best mom, father, or whatever, that's enough.
That's enough. You know what I mean? I can only do what I can do, and it's not. And I really wish that people would take this more, because it is the essence of all religion and moral teachings. You know what I mean? Even exoterically. I don't know. It's such common sense.
But we still need to talk about it.
Oh no, I know. I'm just saying, this has been my thing, for all this time, is I just don't understand, because I don't, again, and I'm not going to be hard on them, although I am hard on them. Like, in this day and age, who is putting their kids into the military? Who doesn't see what the military is doing at this point, and doesn't say, wait a minute, look, I understand you might think, heroic things from these movies, but let's take a look, son or daughter, at some of the things the military is actually doing, and educate them. And, but these are people that, need that ego. My son or daughter's in the military. See my bumper sticker? That's my kid, everyone. See me? Honk. I'm the neighbor Joe. My kid's in the military. I got my flag in the yard. Like, it's all about their own ego and their own buildup of, taking that on as, some of them, I don't want to say force, but they'll encourage this, because they want to, and it could be not just the military, a doctor, whatever, you know what I mean?
Right.
How many
doctors? You get the virtue signaling of, well, your dad was in the military and your grandfather was in the military.
He fought for this country.
His dad before that, he fought for this country.
Yeah. Yeah, well, what did he fight for? Hold on, pause. You know what I mean? Like, wait a minute. Because there's a lot of truth here talking about these people being used, and now it's in our face and we're still choosing it. Like, I don't want to say I can forgive. I mean, look, there was a lot of propaganda. You had all World War II going on. People wanted to do the right thing. Like, that's not what this is anymore, clearly. And people are still choosing it.
No.
Like it's just, I just don't get it, And, well, I do get it. It's about ego, and self-worth, and look at me,
and money.
Control.
And it's about money.
Control.
Money and control.
Yeah.
I get to go to college.
Yeah.
I get that education that everybody tells me I need.
Yeah. And
to,
then,
go and do this.
Yeah, and now I have the piece of paper and the military experience, and now I'm your boss, and I still get to tell you what to do. Look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. I'm the boss. I'm the boss. I'm the boss. And
it's hard. It's hard too for people to look past the spectrum. They don't get the ripple effect.
No,
they'll look like maybe one level out from their own little bubble, and say, "Well, I'm not hurting anybody."
Yeah, no, everyone around me's fine. You know what I mean? Yeah, they don't.
Oh, yes, or I'm not using other I'm not using kids as pawns to make sure a particular person is kept in the same state that I need him to be in for my own materialistic comfort. And forget about him learning about natural law or soul growth or stuff like that. Fuck that,
Right.
It's all about me and my ego comfort, because I am the Lord and Savior of everything. And if you don't love me, and if you don't, don't get me started. Okay. Seriously, it's this unbridled ego worship that's the heart and soul of it. It's got to stop. Okay, it's got to stop. And it's
absolutely,
people don't care about the truth. They don't care about it enough to. And they say they love their kids, and they don't. I'm sorry, they don't.
No,
the thing is
I get it.
That's the bad thing, though, is that they honestly feel, like I said, see the other side of it. They honestly feel that they think that they are doing the absolute most right thing that they can do for their kids.
Oh yeah,
because they are clueless.
Right.
Or it's even worse is that if they know if they're not clueless about it, they're still doing it.
Exactly.
Oh, well, yeah, then absolutely, yes. But for the most part, I mean, there are those, but for the most part, the average person that you would talk to would honestly, truly believe in their heart, without knowing the truth, that they weren't doing anything wrong.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But that doesn't condone at all what they do. Sorry.
No,
it does not
she does and what she continues to do. I'm sorry.
But it's what they tell themselves. You got someone in mind.
Oh, yeah, I do. I've had to deal with her since 2002-ish. So, yeah, I've had to deal with her for a long, long time. It's not one of those situations where I can not get rid of her. I can't do that. Sorry. Otherwise, I would have bumped her ass a long time ago.
Right.
It's still
it's her that I think about when it's so hard for me to do natural law stuff, because I want to you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard for me to be all moral.
Yeah, no, you want to be able to point it out and to make the point stick.
Yeah.
You don't understand. And that's where the frustration comes in. And I guess it's just trying to find a way to teach, is because you look at them and it's like it just doesn't register that, okay, but it is doing harm. If you look at it this way. Well, why do you look at it that way? Because it's the truth.
Right. Harm is being manifested, and harm grows and grows and grows. It takes time, but it's coming to everyone's doorstep, and that's why that saying, first they came for A, B, C, D. I think that saying, and then there was no one left to speak out for me, is so.
Yes.
If people could just see that that's how it's done, and that's how they're going to do this, and realize, that all of this harm that's being manifested, it's almost literally, if you look at, I don't know, how a military would secure a country, they go in, they, collapse the economies and go door to door looking for Talibans and all that bullshit. Where they're going to all the villages, banging on doors, pulling out people. That's what they're talking about doing here. The things you ignore in the world and that you allow to go on in your name come back,
and I would like to add one thing.
Yeah.
There's a huge hullabaloo on conservative Twitter about Ilhan Omar's daughter, that Congresswoman from Minnesota.
No, yeah.
And then basically, like, there's a video. I haven't seen the video, but there's this tweet by this the CJ Pearson person. I don't know who this dude is.
The
but
kid.
anyways.
He's a kid. I know who it is. He's a kid. I mean, he's a young kid. He's been doing it since he was a teenager, but he's probably older now. But yeah,
the CJ Pears. Oh, and anyways,
you do know who he is. If you saw him, you would.
Okay. But anyways, he says, in this video, Isra Hirsi, the daughter of Congressman Ilhan MN, calls American soldiers bitches and accuses them of furthering American imperialism and actively killing innocent children abroad. Where does she get these views from? I guess the apple doesn't fall far. Well, okay, let's see. Well, they are bitches to the satanic elite, unfortunately. They are furthering American imperialism, and they are actively killing innocent children abroad. So she's not wrong.
Yeah, all the boxes are checked again.
Now, the kid you're talking about, I've seen some of his commentaries. I think he's being set up for future office. He sees all kind of politics, but to me too, it's interesting the things that she's in there saying because, they don't want anybody saying anything like that, and if they didn't want her saying it, I almost feel like she's there to cause conflict, even though she says truth. Like I said, it doesn't matter. Truth is truth. And I agree. A lot of things she says are true, but some of the things she says have that poison pill in it too, An
actual true organized opposition.
I don't trust any of them, and any of them that want to be in it. It's such a who's the other one, Lisa? Who's the other one that?
I got rid of the tweet.
No, the one from before that. That's here to save the world. She was a bartender. Who am I talking about? Casio.
I'm trying to remember.
What was his name?
Oh, yes. I just had it too. It was
Casio.
ASC.
Yeah.
Ocasio-Cortez?
Yeah, the girl, the one was a bartender. She's out there.
Ocasio-Cortez. Yeah.
Yeah, all these people are just plants. They're all just there to take future office, and at least that's just the way I see it, And if not, it doesn't matter. They'll be compromised and duped anyway by the time they get in there. So, but people arguing these because I get that. The reason I bring it up is I get this a lot from people because a lot of people that I know, or not that I personally hang out with, but that I know, spit out politics, and these are the people that they throw back and forth and talk about. And it's just people are still, immersed in this mirage. It's almost like, and I'm going to name it, Bix Weir being out there with the good guys. The good guys are doing this. You guys ever watch it? The good guys are doing it. Good guys bad guys are winning today. The good guys are winning. Dude, shut the fuck up. Look around. Yeah,
who's Bix Weir?
He's a money guy, silver guy, crypto guy that can't wait for the year zero and the grand reset. He can't wait for this shit. You know what I mean? And he thinks the good guys are going to win and we're all being liberated. And meanwhile, we're all
Is he a dead Jubilee dude?
Oh yeah, he is. You know what I mean? I watched him for years. Look, I watched him for years because he wasn't always this has really come on lately, and he would report a lot of truth and a lot of deep state stuff, and he's very accurate in the his analysis on the markets and stuff years ago. But he's just turned into this cheerer for I can't fathom people that still don't see that. I don't care what happens at the end of this. They're looking to take away our rights. No happy debt jubilee or $1 billion silver price is taking that away. You know what I mean?
No, never.
I just, we can be happy about all that. We got to deal with this first. You know what I mean? We got shit going on here. You know what I'm saying?
The cart before the horse.
Exactly. Yes. And to tell me and pretend that the white hats are in there is just another. In my opinion, psyop type of operation of getting people to stand down and, just wait for the reset, year zero. Well,
of course, to play devil's advocate, in many cultures, white is the color of death. So
true.
White hats.
And, look, I don't mean to trash anyone. I don't mean to trash him or anyone. I just we need to get a grip here and realize what. Let's deal with this. All that other shit will work itself out. I don't care what they do with the markets and hyperinflation. We can't control that shit. We can watch it every day. We can talk about it. We can assume. We can draw conclusions. We can't wait for tomorrow and see what it's going to do. It does nothing but distract right now while they're.
The only thing that we can do with that is to try to show people how to get away from it.
Yeah. Grab some stuff, put it aside. Like I got a little bit of silver, a little bit of crypto, put it aside, and then that's it. You know what I mean?
That's it. Yeah.
Like you're waiting for this. I know people that have been waiting for this for years, day by day by day. I was one of them. For over a year, about 4 or 5 years ago. I used to listen to him. I used to call into it was a conference. It was before we had all these rooms, and it was a conference of like 1,000 people. And I even used to take the floor a lot. Like and then after about a year, I realized. This isn't fucking looking right. You know what I mean? Wait a fucking minute. They're bringing this in. They're bringing that in. They were talking about back then instituting types of martial law when the economy went down. And I remember getting on having a fit about it. And here we are. The economy's coming down. We got martial law being instilled in bits. And what are we talking about? We're talking about a virus. Like, people can't see that the virus is just a farce. And this has been being talked about. And I'm talking about truthers now, people in the movement, because I know.
You know what I haven't heard a lot of either, which was really big when I first, started listening, was the fact that our dollar was now backed up by the petrodollar. Mm-hmm. Which is true.
Yeah.
But nobody's talking about that now, and they don't realize that the government handing money out left and right. There's nothing at all backing it now. If they could just, come to that one realization that, okay, petrol was down to minus $35.
Yeah.
A barrel. So what does that say about your currency system now?
Yeah. And when people like Greg Mannarino have been saying that, getting laughed at, and it happened. You know what I mean? We're living it now.
It happened, yes.
It's just, how many more things do people need to see that, look, not everyone's Nostradamus here. There's a plan. There's an agenda, and there's evidence to support it. We're not all sitting here going, oh, in a month, we're going to have oil at 35. There's a fucking progression here and things going on that are showing why this is going to happen. And
I just have one article recommendation, again by Joseph Farrell, about this. It's called Saudi Oil Being Rejected from April 9th, 2020. Just check it out. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. Oh, good.
It has
good
an
one.
interesting thing.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Say it again, Lisa. I missed it. Say it again.
Saudi Oil Being Rejected. It's from the guys at DeathStar.com.
Okay.
It's from April 9th of this year. And that's all I'm going to say.
Okay. Gotcha.
The proof is in the article. Part of the proof is in the artitle.
Yeah, it's so.
At least he brings up very interesting stuff that hardly anyone talks about in general, and lots of people some stuff. Anyways, let's keep on talking about rights and.
No, that's good. That's good. Well, because that's what this all comes down to is rights. If people realize it, it's over. If people realize what's going on and say, wait a minute, I'm not doing. I do love my kids. I'm not, doing A, B, and C, and we do it. Then I just. I don't know, man. I see videos like Max put out this morning from Canada. I hope those Canadians are going fucking crazy and yanking their kids out of those schools. If you see the video, like I said, there's 3 and 4-year-olds sitting in squares apart from each other, not allowed to play with each other in the recess yard. It's the most heartbreaking thing you'll ever see. It definitely made me emotional,
But you know what, though, to also make a point to that.
Mm-hmm.
That's horrible. It's awful.
Mm-hmm.
But I've gotten to the point to where it's like we really can't. We don't know the truth from the reality. They say that these things are going on.
Yeah, you're right. It could be bullshit.
They're reporting.
Yeah.
So are they doing it to once again maybe incite emotion in us that are starting, in the middle of, trying to get it together so we can actually have some strength to fight back into this.
Mm-hmm.
Because basically they inverted everything. If we could invert it back to the way it was supposed to be, then it would be game over.
Exactly.
So unless I just have the hardest time anymore with, unless I was there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And actually witnessed it. Is that what they're trying to do? Do they want me to have and be outraged?
Well, I agree. And it definitely, I thought of that afterwards. Like, is this there to kind of play with my emotions? And I looked at it and said, well, you know what? Because I sent it to some people and I said, either way, if this is what they're doing, it does require a bit of an emotional response, an angered one. You know what I mean? Because if you see this going on in Canada and all of a sudden you've got kids and, people kind of I sent it to have kids, younger kids, my buddy's daughter, in fact, I sent it to her. She's a mom. And, because we're all old now. So like you said, you know what I mean? It's crazy how fast time goes. But, so that way, if any of this stuff becomes, like you said, if it starts to manifest around you, well, now you have a point of reference. Now you know where it's going. And like you said, now you can start to but I don't want to feed it the emotional response, like you said, for no reason.
Right.
So it makes, because there could also be a distraction that people go, we're not doing all that. And they go, okay, we won't do it. And then they leave all the 5G and 60Y gig fucking things in the schools and, nuke all the kids.
You go to try to concentrate on one thing and they throw something else at you.
Exactly. I mean, these people are geniuses. I hate to say it. Oh, they're not geniuses. They're clever.
That is clever. They don't have a creative bone in their body.
They don't.
Something that was good.
Yeah.
And they turned it around into something that was evil.
Yeah.
They like the divine intentionality as the Enoia, if I'm ENNOIA, if I remember my readings correctly. I am not a Greek scholar.
Neither am I.
so many mispronounced words in my head from the way I just read it when I read it. You know what I mean? So I'm right with you, Lisa. I have so many of those words. I'm like, I don't know. That's the way I pronounce it in my head when I read the damn thing. You know what I mean? And you hear the right way, and you're like, "Oh shit!"
And they do everything that they can do to keep people that don't recognize this in either anger.
Yeah.
And then from anger goes to desperation. Like, okay, now I see it. Oh my God, it's really happening. What do I do?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and look, I'm not gonna lie. I struggle with that. You know what I mean? I struggle with anger, and I struggle with feeling like, like you said, what do I do? And then you look at a bigger picture and go, we need other people. Like I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is, I don't like relying on everyone else, you know what I'm saying, to wake up for this. I wish there was something that I could do.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, does that make sense? Like, I'm not trying to sound egoic. I just, like, it sucks.
It's all about you, Tom. We know.
Yeah, right. You know what I mean? Like, it just sucks that our fate is in the hands of such stupidity, and it can feel like a lost cause at times,
And that's a struggle we all have.
Yeah. And I struggle with anger with that, you know what I mean? And not, violent anger, just like you said, anger that destroys my own body in ways, you know what I mean? Emotional, pent up emotions and, things that meditation is for New Age people, you know what I mean? To get all that stuff out, you know what I mean? And to connect and reboot and all that stuff, you know what I mean? So
that's why your walks every day are, that's an awesome way to show people, like you tell people every day, I go out here and I walk, just to enjoy nature, just to enjoy hearing the sounds.
I do. I love it. I love it.
That's the only thing I think that keeps us all sane.
Yeah, I need, and like you would say, Lisa, I also, and a lot of truthers will condemn us for this. I turn it off and will fill my head with mindless entertainment at times.
Well, same here.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You have to.
I do.
Okay, like first, like Tom knows this, but like every Wednesday I watch AEW, All Elite Wrestling Dynamite, and I just have to. It's like because besides Chris Jericho, but besides that, but like or like binge watching Outlander, like doing stuff because like otherwise
you have to walk away. You have to unplug at some point, whether it be in your guilty pleasures, which I don't care who you are or what they say, we all have them.
Absolutely.
Maybe people just want to be on their pedestal and be like, oh, I don't do that.
Yeah, I know. I know.
You do. You have something.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll manifest in a different way. Exactly. You know what I mean? But everyone has something that, and I'm not saying that, you know, I think things in excess in all areas are the problem. You know what I mean? Whether,
Moderation is key.
yeah, you know, and I think we as a species, we just, you know, love our excess and love our, you know, but, you know, I enjoy going to a baseball game with my son and my daughter. You know what I mean? I enjoy their sports that they play, and there'll be people that say, "Oh, that's competition. They're being taught opposition." And you know, well, you know, they aren't taught, you know, strictly by people outside of here, and they've been raised by my wife and I, and they understand the appreciation for competition and teamwork,
Yes.
and you know, they'll believe me. My daughter's been a victim of many people that punched her on the soccer field. They come in and twist her freaking stomach, the pincher, and you know they're doing whatever they can do. You know what I mean? You know, and she was told once, recently, actually, not recently, but you know, in her more grown up years, to do that to other people. And my daughter stood up and said to him, whoa. First of all, I had that shit done to me, and it's bullshit. Second of all, I don't need to win by hurt. You know what I mean? Like, people get hurt in sports, but to intentionally do that because you got to win.
Yes, to intentionally go and harm somebody.
You know,
it's ridiculous.
It is. And if you ask either of my kids, you know, what makes a good winner, both of them will immediately spit out a good loser because they've been taught that their whole lives. You know, most parents, you got to win. It's about you. You got to win, be on top. Like you said, it's ego. And then here we have the adult world that we have, you know, and then they have kids and do the same thing, you know.
Yep.
It's just a vicious circle. There's got to be somehow, some way to do it. We just don't have the answers yet.
No, I hope this shake up. We do.
We do have some answers. Okay?
You know, and I think this shake up, you know, might bring more people to those answers, you know, hopefully.
That's
You know.
Hopefully it doesn't have to go too far. I mean, the fact that they are fast tracking a lot of this.
Yeah.
That gives a lot of people some food for thought. Like, why?
Yeah, that should have people shitting their pants, regardless whether you're a sheep or you're awake. That should have people going, wait a minute, vaccines take what, 10 years? You know, to be, I mean, you know, we know they have the dumb thing already, but even if you believe in this, like they're talking about having it by the end of the year. So what, in 9 months, 8 months, they did it. And because they put billions of dollars into it, now it's safe. You know, all the tests, all the time needed for tests and to look at outcomes, and we don't need that anymore because we got billions of dollars here. Okay.
And you know. I will stick to my guns. I said this in the beginning of this. Within the first month, I had told my husband, I said, you know what? I said, the reason why they're doing this now is because too many people are getting wise to the flu shot and saying no.
Yeah.
No matter, they're giving it away for free.
They are, I know. It's a joke.
Like, no, we're good.
Yeah.
And they see it. But now all of a sudden, those people who were on that fence and refusing the flu shot, they can't be turning around to say, yes, please give me this thing that hasn't even been proven when I've already basically been harmed by the flu shot. That's why I don't take it anymore.
Exactly. You know, and then imagine having the absolute, you know, and say balls to then say, and we're going to make everyone in the whole world take it. Like who the hell do you really think you are to be able to say everyone in the world? That is who they think they are. You're absolutely right. You know, but
it's like, sir, you do not make decisions for myself or other people. It just doesn't work that way. And you can make it hard and make it difficult and start implementing your little games, but then all you're doing is showing your hands.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's the same with these people who have a God complex because they're attached to like people who are famous or whatever. They think that they can do whatever the fuck they want because they're married to, you know, or whatever, you know, like, you know, people who have positions of authority in any, you know. Yeah. It's like they think that they think that they can do whatever, or they think that, you know.
Yeah. Entitlement. They think they're entitled.
Exactly.
Oh my
Exactly.
So much so, I'm like, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it is.
When they're entitled to like only natural law rights, and that's it.
And that's it. You
Yes,
know,
that's all anybody's entitled to, and if we could just get that across, I think half of our battle would be won.
It would, you know, it really would, because that's the key here. And you know, if with rights being taken, if people can understand what those rights are and what they are not, then that could be the difference. You know what I mean? It could be, you know, people realizing, wait a minute, you don't have the right to do that because of the way they're bringing so much in so fast. You know, I believe you could have done this to us incrementally over the next 20 years easily. You know.
Oh, easily. That's why. What's the rush?
Yeah.
You know, what's going
yeah,
on?
something's up. I agree. You know.
Well, plasma reset, grand solar minimum.
Yeah, and a little awakening going on. Maybe more people are getting it. You know what I mean? I mean, these people do live in fear. They fear every fucking thing. So I'm sure they fear that. You know.
Gotta wipe it out. So.
Yeah.
It's anything that's not for their glorious shared future.
the what do they call it? For the new century.
Oh, the Project for New American Century?
Project for New American Century. And they're starting to panic and feel threatened because they're like, wait a minute, this isn't working out the way we thought it would.
Yeah, I do think they meant to have had places like Syria and Iran under their control by now. You know what I mean? I don't know. You know what I mean? What the fuck do I know? But it does seem they've tried many times and they have failed. You know, it could be a part of the show, but you know.
That's all of us can do is speculate and you know, I guess vocalize just a different scenario as to why.
Yeah.
Because nobody except for them knows the truth.
Exactly. You know,
about it, what they're trying to do. And
those kind of details can be argued over and over, but the fact that they're taking rights, there's no getting around that. You know, we all have a common problem. Yeah, we have a common problem that we share, and if we can come together around that, you know, I think it would
just be on that. If we could get people to drop everything else and just come to the point of you have rights.
Yes, you know,
and this is what they are.
Yep.
Yeah.
And even though I do have to admit, I wish there was a natural law right to slap people.
Yeah,
I would. I'll be honest. I'm being honest. Okay, I'm being real. People think I'm like all quiet and sweet and nice. It's like people. You should see my journals.
Our only outlets.
Yeah. I think all of our things will be collected at the end of this. And see, they're all heretics and crazy people. Look at them all. Look at all this violence they've written down, you know what I mean? And talked about on the videos, you know.
All we'll be able to put down is we tried. We really tried, people.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. We did.
Oh, they'll spin it, though, like we're the devil. You know what I mean? That we were the problem.
How dare we talk smack about Our Lady and Savior us?
Right.
Okay, I'll stop. You get my draft.
I do. But all right,
guys.
So nobody can listen to this if we make it any longer.
Yeah, no, I know.
These guys are long-winded.
Yeah, I got to get the kids dinner.
I can go on for like 5 more hours. Come on, guys.
I mean, definitely. Just it's the fact of trying to get people to listen.
Well,
I noticed that they have the mind attention span of a goldfish.
Oh yeah, I see it on my analytics. There's people that will listen to all, but then there's people that will listen for 10 seconds and 5 minutes, but you know, it's those that do, you know, and even the ones that listen short, maybe they get a little something out of it. I wonder, maybe we can talk about it a different time. We figure out going on a different platform once in a while and seeing if we can do a live thing, you know. You know, we could try some different things.
I'm down for
that's fine.
I'm down for anything.
We could try different things. Just to, you know, I'm just suggesting. It doesn't matter. I don't mind this, but I'm just saying if we want to try to, you know, do something like that, because people love to call in and talk, and they love to call in and rip you and all that stuff. So you know what I mean. I have no problem with an audience like that if that's the goal of the show. You know what I mean? If our goal is to get information out, you know what I mean, then but if our goal of the show is to discuss things with people, then I have no problem with that, you know. So
Yeah, no, and I'm open to just about anything. I just want to make sure that, but we're trying to do what we can.
Yeah,
'cause that's
absolutely.
all we can do,
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
At least we get an A for effort.
Absolutely.
Most won't even go that far. They
No.
want to keep it to themselves or just be like, no, I can't say anything because people look at me funny. People look at me funny all my life.
Me too.
Same here.
Yeah. Yeah. We own it. That's the way I do it. Yeah, I just own it. I could care less,
Yeah. One of my coworkers calls me a nerd, and it's like, yeah, I know I am. That's okay.
Yeah, that's all right.
She says it in love. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh,
you
God.
love me regardless, so whatever.
That's right.
Yeah. Have a good night, you guys. Thanks.
You too. We'll so listen. We'll set for next week, I guess, or we'll talk about it, or whatever you guys want to do.
Yeah, we can do the same time, same place, unless you guys think of something else or additional, and that's fine with me.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome.
Have a great night.
Yeah, you too.
You guys
I'll talk to you guys later. Love you too.
Yeah,
Bye, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.